We have to continue from equivalent brain model.
Okay. मेरे कंप्यूटर बहुत धीमा है. Okay. जब तक स्टार्ट होता है तब तक तो I think you people are now aware about your brain cell and your equivalent model. Today today's topic we are going to learn is bring the artificial neural network. So we start with the history. It was proposed in 1958. This person has proposed, has been Rosenblatt, had proposed the perceptron. And if we talk about perceptron, what is it? If you can draw it out, if you remember your AND gate. Your AND gate is having two input, one output. This is your AND gate. And basically, perceptron have two basic components in its architecture. This is your first neural network that Sir had proposed in 1958 as your input layer and output layer. This is your x1, this is your x2. थोड़ा छोटा ड्रॉ करते तो this is your summation unit. Then you are having your transfer function over here. This is your transfer function. And over here you provided your label of your data. This complete section is known as your output unit. This complete section is associated with your input layer. This link having weightage is between W11, this is your W21. And over here you are having your bias. Before this thing, if we draw, there are two basic components of your perceptron. The second two things the person at state at that moment of time, your perceptron will if your given pattern is linearly separable and that time perceptron will converge in finite number of iteration. Can anybody tell me why, if I return this statement, what do you mean by this thing? I wrote that if I given this your input pattern, if you want to write it in this, your input pattern is linearly separable at that moment of time, your perceptron will converge in finite number of iteration. What do you mean by converge? Anyone from you?
Merge.
Kya?
Merge means to put together.
First, we will see this has been your AND gate. This is your 0, 0. This all been labeled as 0, and this is your label 1. This has been linearly separable pattern. Why it being linearly separable pattern? If you write it down the equation of this line, the line equation is y is equal to mx plus c. The equation of the line is linear. That's why it's known as being your linearly separable case. Now, if we talk about y is equal to mx plus c, what do you mean by m and what do you mean by c? What do you mean by m and what do you mean by c?
M is the
Your m is your slope
C is
and your
intercept.
c is your intercept. Slope you people are aware about. What do you mean by intercept?
Starting point.
If you want to draw what?
The point with which intersects with an axis.
Correct. If my separating boundary is this, if my separating boundary is this is my separating boundary. Assume that. So this is being your intercept. At this moment of time, it's passing to the origin, so the value of c is equal to 0. Please understand this thing. This is your linearly separable case, but add represent all the things in the terms of line. If you talk about your machine learning or artificial intelligence domain, at that moment of time, people are not referring this y is equal to mx plus c. The people are referring y is equal to wx plus p. This is your weight. This is your bias. So now you can correlate with your slope and intercept. That's why I add certain things that we need to understand it. Till this point, we need to understand what do we mean by linearly separable case, that we are now getting the things. Now the statement, whatever I return, because the statement that given by the sir, this person had given that statement, right? If you have given pattern, means whatever the input you are giving is mean linearly separable. At that moment of time, your perceptron will going to converge, means convergence means you going to provide you the solution in finite number of iteration. I think you people have learned the algorithm subject, if I'm not wrong. Computer algorithm, you learn or not? એવો સબ્જેક્ટ આવ્યો છે કે નથી આવ્યો? અઝ્યુમ
It
કરો
is
ને
in
આવ્યો
this
કે આવ્યો છે.
semester.
ઓકે, સો आपकी गलती नहीं है. So at that moment of time you will find it this conversion words. If your algorithm never get converged, then there is no use of it. Please understand convergence means solution. You're reaching to the solution, and we are interested in that only. Whatever thing we are doing in machine learning, deep learning, any things whatever we are doing in our life, our end goal is to find out the solution for it. So it's very much important to understand this thing. Now we will going to open this perceptron. If you people are aware about artificial neural network, at that moment of time you have three layers basically. Input layer, just a second. Hello. हाँ हाँ આવવાનું આવવાનું. આજે નહીં ખાઉં, આજે એસિડિટી બહુ છે એટલે. There's input layer, there's hidden layer, and your output layer. So please keep in mind, we're not exploring this thing right now. So you people need to be assuming why I had not written that thing. Now whatever we had drawn, again we are drawing that same thing. These are your two inputs. So how exactly your perceptron is working? And we need to initialize your weight and bias initially. Assume that W11 is equal to W21 is equal to 0.5. I'm taking your bias is assumed as B1. You're taking as 0. There's been random value I taken. And your input. Now this has been your input pattern that associated over here. This is your input pattern. This was the second, this third, and this fourth. So now if we giving x1 is equal to 0, x2 is equal to 0, so what exactly our output is we need to see. Over here we are using linear function. Right? So the equation what we formulated over here is being w11 x1 plus w21 x2. This both the thing is going to this summation function. So we need to write it on the summation w11 x1 plus w21 x2. Right? Now we need to substitute the value of it. If you want to substitute, sorry, you need to write it down after this, or you can write it down over here only, and then we need to give to the transfer function. So here we need to add b1. It is out of the box, so please understand this thing. This is w11 is 0.5. This is being multiplied by 0 plus this is multiplied by 0.5 multiplied by 0 plus this is being 0. So I'm writing this thing. This thing is completely the summation of 0 plus 0 equal to 0. So till this point we are getting answer 0. And now we are transmitting this answer to a linear function. Linear function is nothing else. Whatever is your input has been associated output. Simple. This is your linear function. जो x की value होती है वही y की value होती है. You need to correlate that thing, right? So this is your 0. So at the 0th place, your value of y is also in 0. So now after that we are using linear function in giving this assume that this is your x. So we are substituting x over here, and now we are getting the y. This is your label of your given input pattern. If you are providing 0 0, you are getting output 0. Please again go through it. What exactly we did? We just open this complete box. What exactly your neural network is doing, we are just going through it. So you people exactly understand what exactly your neural network is learning. Till this point or till this fifth semester, you are having certain fantasies about the artificial neural network or artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning. The system is learning by itself. What is exactly learning? That's a curiosity for me. So that's why we had opened this thing. What exactly the calculation has been done by the network, we are finding out. And at the end, how is providing the solution you people need to understand. So this is basic objective about learning. This has been supervised learning, and we will discuss about what do you mean by supervised learning also. You don't need to worry about it. But right now, in 58, the people started with this processing. Then later on, the people had evolved their self, and they will find it out various type of network. Even they going still in very deep manners, and they are evaluated deep learning algorithms, and till they are finding out some new algorithm. Now we will take one more pattern. If we assume that the second pattern was 0 and 1, this is your x1, this is your x2. And now again we need to calculate all the steps again. So this is assume that sigma, this has been w11 x1, this is w21 x2, plus this is your bias p1. Bias value is same, this value is been same, this value is been same. The only the change we have done is over here, over in our input pattern, right? So if we substitute all the values, has been 0.5 multiplied by 0 plus 0.5 multiplied by 1 plus this is your 0. So we are substituting it. This is summation 0 plus 0.5 plus 0. This is your complete statement become 0.5. This is the output of this unit. This. Please understand this thing. This is the basic unit where you are finding all of the calculation, right? So now, after that, we need to provide this answer to the linear function. This is basically known as your transfer function or thresholding function. Or thresholding function. And this is your x. X is being this. Please understand this thing. So if we put as mean linear function is equal to 0.5. So obviously, if this been 0.5, it will give you the answer 0.5. That's a simple answer we had to learn about the linear function. But our class label is only 2. Our class label is, if we talk about our class label, this is our class label. This is the class 0. This is your class 1. And we are getting the solution has been 0.5. We write it down this thing. This has been the answer has been 0.5. So how can we tell that this belongs to which class? It's been associated with class 0 or it's been associated with class 1. So for that, whenever you are doing the programming at that moment of time, you are pretty much clear. After this, you're writing down the conditions. If the output is less than equal to 0.5, we state as in class label 0 else class level 1. So based on this, we need to again pass through this mechanism, and we are getting the label. This is your class label of associated pattern. Your input pattern at this moment of time is 0, 1. This is your pattern and this is your class label. Again, please see these things very importantly. So now, if you still remember the statement I'd written in the initial part of the lecture, the statement. None of you people had asked me if my pattern has been non-linear, then what will happen to my perceptron? I'd written over here, if your given input pattern is linearly separable at that time, your perceptron will converge in finite number of iteration. Means whatever the machine we are right now learning, that machine will converge and provide the solution of the given pattern. But if my pattern is not linearly separable at that moment of time, what will happen to this machine? So first we are going to see that what do we mean by non-linearly separable pattern. We take example of XOR gate. I think I'm pretty much clear that you people are knowing what we mean by XOR gate. Yes, no? कभी ना कभी तो XOR गेट देखा होगा या नहीं देखा था?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Even we can tell that XOR gate is being your even parity gate, because indirectly it's generating the even parity. Here the two zeros are there, so we don't need to write down anything. That's why simply substituting 0. Here we are having 1 1. We need to convert it to the even parity, right? That's why we are adding one more 1. That's why now it means even parity. Again we are having 1 1 1 0, means we need to add one more 1 to convert this thing into the even parity. Already we are having 2 1, means we are already having even parity, so we just need to write it down 0 over here. These basic things you people are learning in digital electronics. If we plot this thing in 2 dimension, this means your 0 0, this means 0. This is your 1 1, it means 0. This is your 0 1, this is your class 1, and this is your, sorry, this is your 1 0 is mean your class 1. Now if I want to differentiate between my class 0 and class 1, means class 0 and class X, if you are visualizing this thing, so exactly how I can draw this thing. Last time we know that, last time we are having this pattern. This thing is that here has been class 1, here completely has been your class 0. This is 0, this is your class 1, right? So now which type of boundary I need to draw to differentiate between my class 0 and class 1? क्यों ड्रॉ करूं ऊपर से? कोई आइडिया? if you think, if I seriously want to draw the line or draw the shape so that I can demarcate between my two patterns. Two patterns means one is class 0 and one is class 1. So which type of shape I need to draw? Either you need to draw like two parallel line or shape like this. ऐसा कुछ draw नहीं करना पड़ेगा. Demarcate between this. Between this shape, it's considered as your class 1, and um, beyond the boundary of the shape, whatever we are getting has been class 0. Yes, no. Yes, no.
Triangle.
क्या? किसी ने कुछ बोला. क्या बोला मेरे को ऐसे भी नहीं पता चला. If you are having certain question, please raise. I cannot find it out. Okay. So this has been non-linearly separable pattern. Can anyone tell why this has been non-linearly separable? Last time we talked about that if we are demarcating our classes here, obviously your classes are two, this binary classification problem. And we are using a single line. At that moment of time, your line equation has been linear. If you write it down the equation of this shape, this equation is going to consist the power term. And basically, because of this power term, this is considered as the nonlinear equation. And that's why with using the shape, we are demarcating between our pattern. That's why it's known as the non-linearly separable pattern. This is fundamental justice we are giving to the subject. If somebody is telling this has been non-linearly separable pattern, but you need to understand the things behind it. If you can understand mathematics very nicely, the line equation is like y is equal to mx plus c. What is the circle equation? What is the equation of the circle? Anyone from you? What
X square
is
plus
the
y square
equation
equal to a
of
square.
this? X square plus y square is equal to r square or e square, whatever he is studying. This is your power term. When you are having greater than one power, or any variable, at that moment of time, the equation should be considered as your non-linear equation. And we are using such shape to differentiate between our pattern. That's why we are telling this pattern as a non-linearly separable pattern. Got the point? I think yes, because I had only 3% battery, though I am charging it. But we are having 10 minutes. Okay, this scenario of 1958. After that, around 1965 or 67, exactly, I didn't remember the year. In the year 1965 or 67, the one person, famous person, from parallel processing community, published one article in journal. Where he basically stated the flaws in perceptron. What is the problem in perceptron? He basically written over here. And we need to understand why the people had evolved from the perceptron to deep networks. So this is the basic things you need to understand. So he stated two things. First thing, your perceptron cannot classify the non-linearly separable pattern. This is first claim he did in his paper. Second claim, if you talk about 1960s era, उस टाइम के कंप्यूटर सिस्टम कैसे थे? Though I know you people are not born at that moment of time, but you had heard about it. If you talk about the computer system in 1960s, कैसे थे? Anyone from you? This is not a difficult question that I'd ask you. You people had learn about evolution of computers. So at that moment of time, computer system कैसे थे? Anyone of you? Amit?
So vacuum tubes, I think. I don't know.
Correct. Absolutely correct. So basically, the machines are very big, honestly. The room size, whatever you people are having in at your home, it's bigger than that room size also, honestly. And if you are giving some simplest operation to that computer, if you are talking about 2 plus 3, you people are knowing the answer is been 5. But if you are giving this input to the computer and telling your computer, please add this 2 number, then also that computer is taking several minutes to find it out the solution for it. So basically, second claim was that the perceptron requires immense amount of computational power. At that moment of time, we don't have such type of computational power. It's Amit, your return. Can you explain it again? Which things you need to be explained?
So you already
Please
explained
tell
it.
me.
I got
ओके
it now.
और बेटा कभी भी आपको पूछना है ना तो देखो मैं आईपैड से पढ़ाता हूँ और कंप्यूटर में मैं चालू इसलिए करता हूँ आपके लिए रिकॉर्डिंग कर सकूं तो मैं ये चीज नहीं देख पाता यू कैन इंटरप्ट इन बिटवीन मी दो आई एम स्पीकिंग यू डोंट नीड टू वरी अबाउट इट तो ये तो कभी कभी मैं कंप्यूटर स्क्रीन को देख लेता हूँ क्योंकि आज बैटरी नहीं है अपने पास 2% बैटरी है दैट्स व्हाई आई नीड टू सी द कंप्यूटर स्क्रीन दिस इज बेसिक रीजन तो मैं चैट नहीं देख सकता so I'm literally telling sorry to you guys because I'm not using computer I cannot know if you are writing something और iPad में कोई नोटिफिकेशन नहीं आता क्योंकि ये स्क्रीन आपके सामने विजिबल है आपको भी पता चल रहा है मेरे पास कोई नोटिफिकेशन नहीं आ रहे ठीक तो इसके लिए मैं पहले से सॉरी कह रहा हूँ आप लोगों को राइट सो दिस थिंग दिस टू थिंग्स because of these two things the neural network research it mean artificial neural network please consider I every time will write it down neural network for almost 10 years 10 साल तक वो कोई बंदा रिसर्च नहीं कर रहा था जब मिन्स्की सर ने आर्टिकल पब्लिश किया मैंने मिन्स्की का नाम ही नहीं लिखा कहीं पे दिस इज द पर्सन नेम हु पब्लिश द आर्टिकल तो इन्होंने जब ये पब्लिश किया उसके बाद the community the person who's doing research at that moment of time the people identify he's been absolutely correct if your perceptron is not going to classify any non-linear pattern then most of our real world problem are non-linear in the conceptual manner right so if it's just going to solve the linearly separable pattern it's not for our use and second thing it requires great amount of computational power and at that moment of time we don't have such type of system CUDA machine server GPU and now we are going to the quantum computer also right but at that moment of time we don't have such type of computational power so this is the two things that seriously create fears in the mind of the researcher that now we don't need to use neural network, and basically is not doing anything for us, anything new for us. So either somebody need to come up with a solution that, oh, okay, there's two solution we need to provide, and then we can do the neural network research. Though we are having only 4 minutes, I just introduce this thing and then we will continue in next session. But it's very important thing. And your perceptron is known as your first generation of your neural network. This is basically known as your first generation of artificial neural network. Now, after this, around 1975 or 77, we write it down. Right? Around 1975, the people had come up with this word, backpropagation. Somewhere you had seen this word like this. PPNN. Backpropagation neural network. Right? So what do you mean by this word? What is the English meaning of backpropagation? Just telling what do you mean by backpropagation. Leave about neural network. Then we will understand exactly what we mean by backpropagation. आज आप लोगों का ही लैब है ना? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if we complete our lab early, then we can extend this session in the lab also, if you people permit. सारे बच्चे नहीं होंगे ना, तो नहीं कंटिन्यू कर सकते, तो नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में ही करेंगे. What do you mean by backpropagation? हाँ बोलो बोलो.
नहीं सर, वो मतलब वो उसका नोट्स का मुझे बोलना था कि उसका मैंने सॉल्यूशन फाइंड कर लिया था.
हाँ, सॉल्यूशन फाइंड कर लिया तो हम वो लैब में डिस्कस करेंगे. पर सबसे पहले मेरे को बैक प्रोपगेशन का मीनिंग बताओ बेटा. 1% बैटरी बची है. ये मेरा बहुत बड़ा प्रॉब्लम है, रात को मैं भूल जाता हूँ चार्ज करना.
Sir, following backward path.
Absolutely correct. Back propagate. You need to propagate the thing. Propagate means भेजना यहाँ से वहाँ तक, right? Now back propagation मतलब in reverse manner you are sending the things. So in between the lecture, I told you in generalized manner, you people had seen the things like this only. The perceptron having these two things, input and your output layer. But in traditional, your neural network, you are having these three layers. Your input, hidden, and your output. Now first, why the people had written down the name hidden layer. This is your input. This is whatever we had drawn the box x1, x2 has been your input. There. This is being your hidden layer. And this is output layer, that what exactly I had shown you guys. Output layer. Your this layer is in between input and output. That's why it's known as hidden layer, because we exactly don't know, or people generally don't try to know what exactly the hidden layer is doing. Because it's in between this thing, you people are every time whenever you are using as a tool or programming language, either Python, MATLAB, whatever the tools you are using for neural network implementation, you are just giving your input and just looking to your output. આપણે આપીએ શું input, જોઈએ શું output. We are never bother, or we never seen the things in between that thing. In between means इन दोनों layers के बीच एक और चीज थी जो hidden था. That's why it's known as a hidden layer. Why the people had given the name, you people need to understand this thing. Got the point? Yes, no. કેમ અને hidden layer કહેવામાં આવ્યું? Okay, guys, I don't have a battery, and even we had completed our time, so we'll meet in lab. Okay, you guys can leave. And thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir.
Stop
Thank you,
recording.
sir.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
मीटिंग को लीव कैसे करते हैं? डिफिकल्ट है. Talent, dismiss.